Banjo Sonic-y is the name, and the Collectathon is the game. So this is the latest Sonic game, and Sonic's been around forever. Just exploring the frontier, and there's Sonic Mania everywhere. So there was, after Sonic Mania, I guess there was a lot of hype for like what's they're gonna do with the next 3D game. Well, now we know Sonic Frontier is out and has been out for a little while now. And yes, so with every new Sonic game, one begs to ask, is Sonic Frontiers another Sonic 06 or a Sonic Mania? And I'll hopefully answer that for you. My first impression of the game is like Sonic team thought, hey, Nintendo had Breath of the Wild, that was a cool game, it sold really well, sold a lot of Switches, you know, so can we do the same thing with Sonic? Like, that was my first impression, seeing the generic landscapes and, you know, the weird temple stuff. So the game starts you in Green Hill Zone, but wait, you soon discover after blazing through that you know, that fun level, that it's all virtual. And the shocker is that Sonic is in a 3D open world game, which he's never really done so much before, other than Sonic Adventure, which is like arcade game. So it's just like Breath of the Wild pretty much. And Sonic's running across these barren and rather drab generic landscapes, as I said, and activating these mini temples. And I half expected Sonic to just pull out Excalibur from the middle of the landscape, because that's what this landscape looks like. It looks like you're stuck in somewhere in Ireland, Northern Ireland maybe. So then you get to the meat of the game, which are these islands, and there are 5 islands and hubs in the game. From here, you might realize that, like I did, there's a lot of running around in these hub areas, defeating random weird robot, I don't know, enemies that kind of look like they belong in Star Wars Episode 2. And yeah, you do this to upgrade Sonic's speed, strength, ring capacity. So if you're like me, you kind of feel cheated that, you know, the Sonic game seems more interested in being a 3D Sonic RPG of sorts than a traditional action game. And once Sonic has been placed in open space, Sonic is no longer the fastest living thing alive, but a chore to maneuver, and he feels sluggish. So the graphics, as I said, they seem decent in the cyberspace realm, but the generic hubs, they're just generic. Like, it feels like they just took some assets from a random, like free assets, and just put them in this game. And yeah, the game, the graphics just seem like downright awful. Like, they feel like placeholder graphics, and they never had the time to sort of go back and like make it seem more impressive. And it's just really that bad for like a next generation Sonic that came out like 3 months ago to look, in my opinion, worse than the Dreamcast game, almost, in terms of just the texture, quality, and choice variety. So the controls feel kind of floaty, especially noticeable when you're like missing rails and stages in the cyberspace stages. You can sort of adapt to the crappy controls, but I mean, where's the fun in that? Just the weird physics, and the controls are just downright stiff. So as an old school gamer, I find it really surprising that there's like tons of gamers out there that are saying like this is the comeback that Sonic needed. And I don't think they're being sarcastic. Like, sometimes there's sarcastic reviews out there, but I don't think so. Yeah, so people with like more free time, younger people with more free time, are saying this is like the best Sonic game in ages, and I'm just like totally shocked. The game is just utterly linearly repetitive, if that makes any sense, for an open world game, and rather forgiving. However, you know, it's just a collectathon. You collect like these little guys that look like onions, that are like the characters from Sonic Adventure, the Chows from Sonic Adventure. There's just like a lot of bits of like random stuff that just don't gel together, or like, you know, I think it's Rose wants to talk to you all the time. Is it Ruby or Rose? I've gotten lost. But, and then there's blue orbs that you have to collect, and this will increase your speed, your strength, or whatever. Like, But the music's okay. Like I barely noticed it a lot of the time. It seems pretty ambient. And then if you compare that to past Sonic games where the music's like, you know, front and center, loud and like, you know, confident, it's kind of weird to go into this ambient music. So anyways, the game definitely feels incomplete. That's where I'm heading. It would be shorter still if you did just the cyberspace levels one after the other. And I think there's what, 30 levels? I've forgotten. But they're so easy and short compared to the open world ones, and apparently those are the levels that people don't like, but I thought they were actually fun compared to like the collectathon that's in the hub world and other stuff there. So there's a ton of empty land for Sonic to run around, and I feel like most of the time you're spending just running across the landscape in this Sonic game, but because there's so much landscape, you don't feel like you're really going fast, like you're going nowhere fast pretty much, which to me isn't fun, and that's not really what, you know, to me what Sonic game's about. I just feel like this is not a good Sonic game. I've seen people praise it and saying it's a return of form, and I'm just surprised we haven't gotten like Sonic Adventure 3, because this is definitely not Sonic Adventure 3. And at an $80 price tag, this seems like a huge ripoff. And apparently the development was rushed and everything, and you know, Sonic Team, the rumor is Sonic Team wanted to do the best job possible, but like I feel like they tried to do something that was just so far out from what Sonic really does and does well. But there's a lot of like pointless puzzles that you have to unlock these cyberspace levels, and like I feel like the effort to unlock them and to get the cyberspace levels, which are more fun than running around the hub doing lots of random pointless stuff. There's just little story. There's beyond like basic dialogue, and that sort of to encourage the player to continue playing and motivate them. And Sonic's voice actor sounds really off after being used to the old one. Sonic, just the voice does not match Sonic. I don't know why they're going with that voice actor, but I just, as someone that remembers Sonic from the very beginning when he had attitude and he was at his peak and he was cool when he was still 2D, and then in 3D they managed to make at least Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 interesting, and then from there, you know, varying results, and it depends on who you ask, but at least in those portions Sonic was really cool. But I think now, especially with Sonic Frontiers, like Sonic's sort of like, he's reached a point where it's like, why are you so far away from what made you cool and what made you interesting, Sonic? And that's the real shock for me. If you want a 3D Sonic, pretty much what I'm saying is play Sonic Adventure. It was a blast to play overall. Maybe it was a little bit crappy in some places, but at least it was enjoyable. Sonic Frontiers is a walk around collectathon. None of the speed that makes Sonic interesting. Or just if you have to play something that's, even if it's not 3D, play Sonic Mania, because that's a lot more fun than playing a game like this where they're just trying to push concepts onto Sonic that don't really belong. Just Sonic Frontier seems like a hugely disjointed and disappointing and poorly designed game to me. That just forgets that Sonic's all about speed and not collecting things like a 3D platformer. I would say beware this game for 80 bucks. It just seems like a huge ripoff. If you have to buy it, snag it for no more than 20 bucks. For your own sake. It has some of the fun of the past 2D or 3D glory, but even though it occasionally looks decent, it just reminds me of how disappointed gamers were when Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty came out, and you only play for like Sonic's Solid Snake, I mean, for like 10% of the game, and the rest of the game you play as Raiden. Like, this is the biggest disappointment since that game came out in 2006. So here we are. I never thought I'd see another game that's just as disappointing, but I guess it's just a matter of time. And the game comes out as unfinished or undercooked garbage. So anyways, a rush game is still a rush game, and it'll be a rush game forever. And I feel like Sonic Frontiers is a result of just putting too many ingredients in the pot and just trying to make a Sonic game that's not a Sonic game. So keep on gaming. Bye.